All right, let's get into the paper review now to bring you what is up on the papers, the headlines across Nigeria. And we have joining us TVC News senior researcher, Cyril Abaku. Cyril, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning,
Nice
good
to
to
see
see you.
Yes, glad to be here.
Right.
All right, let's begin with a punch. National Assembly backs state police as gunmen kill 7 cops in Abuja. Lawmakers say police reform bill to get speedy hearing, and protesters demand Saraki Dogara's resignation.
Okay, so first, the National Assembly is now particularly backing the police reform bill, which is what we've been saying over time, except that the circumstance under which it's coming is a bit difficult for one to give it wholesale approval. For me, I think that there ought to be a broader discussion if we want to devolve powers again, because the police is just one item. Okay, you cannot devolve police power to non-viable states. And the fact is that our political class has not learned their lessons effectively. If the current police force were to be put in its proper place, if, for instance, we had a different IG who understands what the police should be doing, these killings in Benue and Plateau and Taraba and so on, we won't be sitting back and saying that they've arrested 11 persons or that...
they're parading some 11 persons.
It's a waste of the time.
We
are supposed to be carrying out preventive security control.
Absolutely.
That is lacking.
And then that really shameful development in Borno where police officers had to protest.
And then you had... And then Ngozi, you mean to tell me that after about 48 or 72 hours, nobody has been arrested? The police there has not been any concrete statement coming from them to say, you know, this, and it's an embarrassment. The forces cannot be part of unions. They can't you can't unionize them.
No.
And then this is, I mean, at best you call this mutiny or treason.
There was a shabby explanation sometimes saying
shabby
that...
is a word.
Yeah, exactly. That, you know, the budget has not been signed.
No,
so the president, as the president has signed it now, that's why we say it is a little shabby.
You see, but let's not go into all of that. The fact is something is fundamentally wrong. The factors inhibiting policing, as I've always said, from having a police will not go away. Even, I mean, because what they talk about is state police and community police. I've always called for that.
Okay, all right. Let's move on very quickly. France can't fix Africa's problems, says Macron.
Yeah, but they can give us support.
Oh, absolutely. He has said that. We will give you support, definitely. And, of course,
but they have been supporting.
It's a fact.
France has always been there. It's just that the point there is, you know, when it comes to Africa, we have the Anglophone and the Francophone.
Exactly.
France, in fact,
and
France is very visible amongst Francophone countries.
Yeah, like Mali, for example.
Exactly. Niger Republic, Benin Republic, Cameroon.
Yes, the fact is that even in colonial times, you know, they had this thing they call policy of assimilation.
Yes.
So it's more like a closed society.
Even though it didn't work at first, there were issues, and they had to amend it to policy of association.
Well,
yes, association. But again,
of course.
But you see, Mike, I think one fundamental thing is that whether association or assimilation, Emmanuel Macron, whom I consider to be a millennial, coming to Lagos to
go to the shrine, man,
is a break from tradition.
Exactly.
And I hope that, you know, in terms of promises of tourism and cultural exchange, we'll be able to start the maximum from them.
Of course,
because what we're going to make from that is
still talk about
humongous.
that in detail, you know. But what he has said is very spot on. Africa's solution will come from within, not from the outside.
Very fundamental.
Okay, again, Soyinka attacks Obasanjo in new book. Ex-president takes lecturing job at, of course, the National Open University, Nigeria. Soyinka has said you do not have the moral high ground to be the one who wants to come up with the struggle for, you know, the solutions for Nigeria.
Let me quote him.
Nigeria's many
he
problems.
Said that
Please quote him.
He said deep down in Obasanjo, he knows that there is a sock away, a cesspit.
Oh my.
That is seeking to be drained.
I actually missed that one.
Whatever those are, the rider is what is better news to me. Obasanjo taking up a teaching role. I think a columnist, Obi Nwakama said one time that, look, all past heads of state and all those that have held key government positions in the past are supposed to be in classrooms as a form of national debriefing. That's why you look at Obama's administration. From Biden down all the way, most of his cabinet members have gone back to classrooms, Harvard and so on. That's why when they go to this Kennedy School of Government at Harvard, it's not just theoreticians who are talking there. People who have been in government, who understand systems. The fact that those who have been in power don't give back in this.
Okay, Cyril, you know what? Quoting Soyinka, he says President Olusegun Obasanjo should desist from struggling to restore Nigeria to the path of sanity and moderate rectitude, describing him as objectively unfitted for the role. Okay, QED.
All right, we have to. Let's move to the other one briefly now. The Nation newspaper, 7 policemen die in battle with bandits. A spokesman condemns calls for SARS disbandment. Now, the point there is, what is troubling is for 7 police officers to be, and it's taking place in Abuja.
In the FCT.
And like, they are calling them bandits. I don't know who has termed them bandits. You know, there are categories of people now.
Whoever they are.
Today, tomorrow they are militia, tomorrow they are herdsmen, tomorrow they are bandits. Even policemen are not safe. Now, Mike, see my concern. You know, we woke up from the 200 people, more than 200 in Plateau. And then another 15 again in Plateau.
Yes.
Now, 7 policemen. Do you know that, like somebody pointed out to me the other time, we become psychotic. You know what that means? It doesn't matter anything to us anymore.
Yeah.
When Don Wani was killed, or when I think he ran riot in a particular community, a woman was crying for help because I think she lost the husband and then she had the baby in her hands. And according to the story, she saw a truck of soldiers passing by and she was waving for assistance.
And nothing.
You know, like it's become the norm. It is dangerous.
That is,
before we even talk about it, look, all reforms are good, but you see, Nigeria itself, the Nigerian conscience needs to be debriefed. It needs a critical attention.
Why,
seriously.
Yes, I agree.
We're losing our humanity.
We have lost it long ago.
That is why a security officer will say, when the report say 10 people died, he said, no, it wasn't 10, it was only 5.
And 5 is only for him.
Yeah.
The people that are protesting in Maiduguri the other day, Mike, are you aware that is it the DP or the Commissioner of Police, or whoever has actually said that one day, in the course of looking for what to eat, a police truck traveled from one place to another, and on the way back, one of the officers fell down and died. What?
It's really sad.
What
well, let's move on. Police name Plateau Benue killing suspects. You can see on the front pages there some of the paraded suspects and some of the ammunition recovered from them. And then Ekiti 2018 court dismisses suit seeking to bar Fayemi. Court members dump Aluko for Olushola, and DSS arrests officials for collecting PVCs. Now, there was this story on collecting PVCs. An official was said to be collecting PVCs from teachers.
Well,
the teachers were photocopying their PVCs.
That was, please hold on. I think that's a version. Because I read another version elsewhere that also said that the teachers, that there was term examination going on in the school, and so the principal allowed those people to use his office to make photocopies of documents, including PVCs.
Well, it's good the DSS has swooped in, and we'll see the end of that.
Whatever it is, if they're legitimate voters, they should be allowed to have their PVCs and vote on election day.
Yes.
Why are they photocopying their PVCs?
There are certain places you go to, if they say you must tender certain documents, for instance, they say
we will talk to INEC chairman.
Regulatory IDs.
We will be
I don't want to take the original copies. Perhaps you don't want to
we'll talk to the INEC chairman. I believe he will address some of those. Let's just run through. Back APC to return to national politics. Buhari tells Igbo. And FIFA queries NFF. We have that. And Nigeria, France signed pact on $475 million projects. May's theft committee indicts Omar Gege. Boko Haram boy made explosives for bombers. Well, those are the headlines on the Nation newspaper now.
Yes, indeed. Of course, President Buhari says, I'll support Igbo presidency at the right time. The Daily Sun, IPOB charges army to produce Kanu. Where is Nnamdi Kanu? That is the question that IPOB is asking. The proscribed IPOB, if I may add. Protesters storm National Assembly. They were sponsored by a governor and minister, according to Saraki. It's laughable, right? Okay. APC government will make education free in Abia. That's Carlo speaking there. In Benue killings, police parade 8 suspects. Gunmen kill 7 policemen in Abuja. Soyinka postpones release of dossier on Obasanjo. Okay, let's talk about this IPOB issue.
Exactly. Yes, I was going to come to it. You know, we have come into, the Nigerian state has descended into a civilian space, not particularly a democratic space, but just a civilian space. Now, for one, I have never supported the Biafran idea. Okay, So fine, let's get that straight. But as a Nigerian, and as far as Nnamdi Kanu is still a Nigerian, I don't know if the people that went to do Operation Python have submitted any report to anybody. Because there is supposed to be a complete report of what happened
on September 14th.
Of course, they should have.
Properly.
Yeah. They should have.
But the
only difference is they may not make it, because even in the crocodile dance and all of the I am Patuma, nobody, they don't give reports or write the reports to Nigerians.
It was not a classified operation. It was well known. And so if, because the man is supposed to be standing trial, isn't it? So it's unfair. I mean, if you carry out an operation, it is only normal and logical that you give a report. Somebody is supposed to account for that man's whereabouts.
Yes,
and
but the authorities,
somebody ought to account.
The authorities even, had to arrest Senator Abaribe at the time for being one of his charities to provide him in court.
Only for the judge to wash the hands off the
exactly.
case.
So the case has become very complex.
It's so complex, really. All right,
we have to leave it here now.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning, as always.
Yeah,
okay,
but we have to keep you for.
We'll keep you
for the next discussion now. Stay with us. Let's go on a break, and when we come back, we'll be looking at the new dawn in Lagos.
Yes.
First president, any president in the world
to visit the shrine.
Wow.
Interesting.
Stay with us now.
The banner of the French president, drums from the Lagos Standing Troop welcome all guests into the African shrine amid watertight security. The shrine is wearing a new look with different paintings. African fashion was also highly displayed. Both foreign and local journalists had their camera lenses busy. No doubt President Macron's visit has sent confidence to other parts of the world about Africa, Nigeria, particularly Lagos State. He said he's here to build the future of Africa together with Africans.
African leaders are here to take care of their people. And none of us are here to leave the young generation to believe one second, that their future is outside Africa. They have to build their future here in Africa, and we have to help them.
The French leader also inaugurated Season of African Culture 2020 to take place in France.
This cultural season is a unique and brand new event because it will be the face of African culture in Europe, but organized by Africa, with Africa, providing what you like, what you love here.
For Governor Akinwumi Ambode, this historic visit will go a long way to break barriers between Nigeria and France, as well as foster greater collaboration for economic, social, and cultural growth.
That this African shrine is acknowledged to offer over the millions.
Lagos Commissioner for Tourism told us what the visit means to the Nigerian economy, especially Lagos State.
It means that the world is doing more than just, noticing us. It means that the world can now deal with us on an artistic and cultural level without any hesitation. This is big business.
Culture at its best, arts without boundaries, were enjoyed by the audience. For Fela's children, this gathering has vindicated their father's struggle.
We are vindicated. That's all I can say. I don't want to talk too much. But we are very excited.
Fighting against injustice, corruption for 18 years in this building, keeping the legacy of my father alive, and then a super nation comes here to support this movement in the shrine. That's a huge statement. Means that all the naysayers and all the people who doubted the credibility of this heritage it kind of shames them.
Dignitaries who spoke with us say this event will further open the late Afrobeats legend's name, Fela Anikulapo Kuti, to the world.
Music is the weapon. Music is the thing of the future.
Adedoja Salama Diniyi, TVC News, Lagos.
Weapon of the future.
Yes, indeed, a vindication of what Fela Abameda stood for. Well, we have Cyril Abako, who is still very much with us in the studio here, and we've been joined by TVC News Lagos State House correspondent Adedoja Salam Adeni. Good morning. Good to see you again.
Adedoja, good morning.
Same here. Good to see you guys.
I know
good
you've
morning.
not had a wink of sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
Covering that event.
What is the time?
Shrine.
It's really interesting.
Overnight.
Yes, indeed. But what a background, really, to this collaboration between France and Nigeria. I mean, of all places, the shrine.
Yeah, the shrine.
According to Yeni Kuti, this is a vindication of what Fela stood for and what they have been able to propagate over the years since Fela died in 97.
Yeah. Well, first of all, what she meant was that, you know, Fela went through a lot of things when he was alive. Yeah. I mean, through his music, and a lot of things happened to him. His mother died. You know, he has been arrested. He was arrested several times and all of that. So it's a kind of a vindication, because now people now see, okay, this is what this man stood for. And it took the international community to come back and celebrate the Fela that we have here. So,
all right, now the first president to visit the shrine, and even coming to Lagos out of many states in Nigeria. Now, what does this mean for Lagos?
Yeah, for Lagos, is a kind of a stamp to the tourism potential that the state government has been promoting over the past 3 years. And Macron's visit is a kind of a visit that, you know, Macron has been in Lagos. I mean, every other person should be in Lagos, saying that Lagos is safe. And of course, entertainment, tourism is the way to go. It's the next Nigeria oil. That is what it means. It's purely business for Lagos.
Absolutely. Yeah. But let's bring this to Cyril. Quoting from what we read in the papers earlier when we were doing the review, Macron actually said that Nigeria's or Africa's problems will not be fixed or cannot be fixed by France. But this definitely is a step in the right direction. You know, like you said, but France can support.
Of course they can. I mean, just before we came on the air, Dodger and I were having a discussion. Yeah. And we found out that I think Lagos State alone made about 800 billion. In terms of tourism addition to its GDP. That goes clearly to say that, a lot can be explored. For instance, you know that Fela should have been the unlikely person because his music was anti-establishment. He was against the government of the day in those days. But today, truth cannot be hidden forever. Yeah. The fact is that he spoke truth to power. And today it is taking the president of France. That place, for a long time, it would have been seen that it's for the downtrodden or for people who just have some kind of angst against government. But clearly that place is a cultural institution. Yeah. And it shows that we can if we have the strategic plan to invest in tourism, to invest in culture, France can arguably be said to be the cultural capital of Europe. Yes. French society is a highly cultural society. True. And the fact that he broke tradition with the Francophonie, which is supposed to be like the Commonwealth of France, what Commonwealth is to Britain, he broke tradition and came to Nigeria. And he came to Nigeria, he came to Lagos, and he came to Lagos, he went to the shrine. I think we need to ask some very basic questions. If we want to explore our tourism potentials, what should be the targets? What should be the key landmarks? I think this visit should serve for the Lagos State government some kind of a point of discussion going forward. Yeah. To say, look, we can, if Macron has come, then it means any other person can come. What can we put in place to make sure that the world
that will sustain,
its tourism destination?
Yeah.
All right, let's hit it so we can allow Adedoja to go back to covering issues. Now, there were some agreements or pacts that were signed between Nigeria and France and Nigeria, talking about over $400 million project which will involve Lagos, Ogun, and Kano. And then there's the other 200 million naira for mobility or the transportation within Lagos. Talk to us about some of the agreements that were signed.
Well, before the agreement, the France president actually made it clear that he was in Lagos to actually talk about African culture. Yeah. And then, you know, there are so many negative stories about Africa, but he is seeing a positive Africa. And it will take Africans to also talk about their stories, by themselves. So it's coming up with a season of African Culture 2020 in France. And this is about promoting African culture, music, drama, and all of that. And it's going to be, you know, headed by Africans themselves, and it's going to happen in France. So there are a lot of things, and it's like they've seen that there are potentials. There are many potential in Africa, and the need for them to tap into it, and that is basically the relationship between the two countries.
Would be the,
and Lagos is of course the hub. And
we had some 150,000 jobs could actually be created from French investment here.
Exactly, absolutely, yeah. Like the Lagos state government has also, you know, invested a lot in terms of tourism. Last year they had the tourism master plan between 15 to 20 years, you know, and of course there is also a tourism calendar. So the state has been projecting this, for the past 3 years, and this is it. Meanwhile, Macron felt, so much at home yesterday.
Tell us about that.
You know.
Tell us about that. Did he taste any Nigerian food, any of the yasu and what have you? He must have.
Yeah, he did. You know, it's his first time in Lagos as the president.
As president,
you know,
of course, he was
he did
in Nigeria.
Training as a diplomat in
2004
at the Nigerian embassy. So it's like coming home.
At the French embassy.
It's also the first president, you know, to visit Lagos. He was at home. He enjoyed himself.
Really good one.
It's really interesting. Adedoja Salam Adini, thank you so much but we have to let you go now so you can go face other issues so we can get more of the details of what is going on. But Cyril will keep you to talk more about this so we can have a better understanding. Thank you, Adedoja. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, well, but before Macron's visit to Lagos, he actually met with President Buhari at the presidential villa in Abuja, where he pledged to help Nigeria tackle terrorism. Taya Modu actually has that report.
Okay.
The French president arrives at the presidential villa, Abuja, to a warm welcome by President Muhammadu Buhari. It is not the first meeting between both presidents in the course of the week, having interacted on the sidelines of the recently concluded AU summit in Mauritania. In the course of the meeting, which lasted roughly 2 hours, both presidents were on the same page about the urgent need to roll back the advance of terrorism in the Sahel region. The French president rolls out an ambitious plan for French involvement, which not only involves security, but stabilization of the region and economic development, which is why he says both countries are signing a $75 million credit facility agreement to improve water supply in Kano. The president expresses the thanks of a grateful nation for French intervention in security in the Sahel, but also seeks support for the water transfer project to the Lake Chad.
For Nigeria, what I personally emphasize is the inter-basin transfer of Lake Chad and the Sahel security. What France is doing, we all know, in trying to stabilize the region, especially in dealing with G5.
Another port of call for President Macron in his visit to Nigeria is the African Shrine in Lagos, which he describes as an iconic place and just the right place to anchor his dream of an African cultural project. Both countries also signed a letter of intent for a loan to finance the urban mobility program initiated by the Lagos state government. The loan being facilitated by the AFD, the France Development Agency, is valued at $200 million. Taya Modu, TVC News.
All right. Okay. Those are some of that's just a foundation of what it is. Now, when a major world power visits a developing country, there is usually so much expectation as to what the visit is going to change or what the impact is going to be. Now, coming to Nigeria or taking this Macron's visit to Nigeria, taking it as a focal point, amongst all of this, they've talked about the issue of culture, they've talked about the issue of security, terrorism, and fighting all of that, and other projects, and even employment and so on. Amongst all these, which is more strategic to Nigeria right now?
I think it's the war on terror, quite frankly speaking, because without a secure environment, you cannot get the investments you need, you cannot have a good business climate, you cannot, the economy cannot grow. There's so much that won't happen on account of insecurity. And that's why, if you look at the Nigerian map, for instance, in the south, Benin Republic and Cameroon. Up north, you have Niger, you have Chad, you have all of these countries are francophone. In fact, as a matter of fact, I wonder how Nigeria escaped it, because perhaps it
the amalgamation took over.
Perhaps. So, but again, you see, the fact is that we need, because the question of terror is now transborder, it's now internationalized, and because even if we are to go by the theory of Gaddafi's men, they cannot get into Nigeria without going through those countries. So in a way, Nigeria needs the cooperation of countries that pledge allegiance to France because of colonialism. They pledge allegiance to France. So we need them to assist us. And again, it's also beautiful that the French government virtually has brought a policy, as it were, to own the crisis in that region as if it's its own.
Yes.
The G5 Sahel initiative, I think, yes, to help. So we need to do more, perhaps in terms of intelligence sharing, perhaps in terms of funding, perhaps in terms of manpower, perhaps in terms of technical assistance and so on, logistic support and so on. Relatively, Niger, Chad, and so on, and even Cameroon, these are not countries that can stand Nigeria in terms of her capacity to do certain things. And so if they have to match our capacity to assist us effectively, France has to, one way or the other, has to be in support. So, of course, you remember
leading that charge.
Yeah, of course, you remember when Jonathan was in power, how he had to go to France several times to get French assistance. So it's important that he came here. I think, if not for anything else, if we are able to ramp up the terrorism threat, it will be it will be a great score, because for me, I think that in a way, attacks happen because perhaps we didn't see them coming. Michael, so, of course. And I mean, France may be farther from us than these countries, but they have the technology and the war chest.
Do you think, before we allow you go, that this will actually cement, the relationship between the Anglophone and Francophone countries of Africa? Yeah.
Well, that may be.
How much impact would this have?
Well, that may be
overrating or
maybe overstretching. I think we as Nigeria should think of what we can get from it first of all. Now, for instance, we signed a deal of $475 million.
Yeah.
Ogun State is going
for water.
No. I mean, it's in three phases. Some part of it is going to Ogun State for reforestation. Yeah. Some part of it is coming to Lagos to improve urban mobility. Some part of it is going to to account for water supply. If water supply in Kano is boosted properly, and we can think of how we can link it to agriculture, and herders can find good pastures for their cattle, will it help to stave off these attacks that so I think we need to link it up all together. But it's a good thing that we signed the letter of intent. Yes. And so when that loan is released, government should also put up mechanisms to ensure that what it is released for is what it is used for. That's how we can create jobs, boost services in circulation, and also see how we can expand the frontiers. I believe that most of, like you call them, world powers, if they give you a letter and you're faithful in it, chances are
more will come.
More will come.
It is quite good and strategic on the part of France that most of these projects will be handled by French companies. So it's a way of inroads where it seems like China is all taking over all. But we have to leave it here now.
France is looking at
having a bite of the cake. Yeah, thank you very much, Cyril Abaku.
My pleasure, Mike.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.